Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm doing another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. It is 10 tips for new players. These videos are a ton of work to put together, so I hope you guys enjoy. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Tip number 1, play the objective. This is the number one mistake I see both new and experienced players making. They don't play the objective because they want to go on a huge kill streak or something like that. But it is very important to play the objective, even if you want to go on a huge kill streak. It really helps your kill streak more than it hurts it. There are several reasons why this is true. First is that if you don't play the objective, your team is going to lose in about 5 minutes, so you won't have time to go on a huge kill streak. The second is because the objective gives you a ton of battle points, and battle points can be used to buy heroes. So if you want that hero for your giant kill streak, play the objective and you'll get the battle points you need. Battlefront has several different types of objectives, the first of which is the area objective, which you must either attack or defend. These are very fun because they can turn into choke points oftentimes and get really chaotic. The second type of objective is vehicles. You oftentimes have to use ion disruptors to take out vehicles as the first objective on a map. These are a little bit confusing, but I'm not going to go into more detail. Second and third types of objectives are ones you have to either sabotage or override. These are not too confusing, so I'm not going to go into them. Tip number 2 is to combat roll. The combat roll has several benefits, the first of which is that it makes you a smaller moving target. Second of which is that it gives you damage reduction. As you can see there, I stepped on my own grenade, I took 90 damage. This time, I'm going to combat roll out of the way of the grenade, and I will take less damage. As you can see there, I took 18 less damage, which is enough to save your life a lot of the time. Tip number 3 is weapon cooling. As you shoot your weapon, it overheats, and there are several ways to cool it off. First way is to manually cool it, which is what you should be doing. But if it does overheat and you miss the blue and yellow cooling bars, it will overheat more. If you hit the yellow or the blue cooling bars, the yellow will give it unlimited fire for a limited time, and the blue will instantly cool it off. But you should just manually activate the cooling because it's faster and more efficient. Tip number 4 is take cover. This is the best way to survive in Battlefront 2, and it has several benefits. The first of which is that it makes it harder for people to shoot you, which is fairly obvious, but it's by far the best benefit of cover. Second is that it gives you a place to hide and regen. And the third is that you can surprise people from behind cover really easily. If they come walking through next to your cover and they don't notice you, you can just like melt them because they don't see you. So yeah. So I do have a few tips on helping take advantage of cover as best you can. Both apply to the clip I'm showing here. First is to crouch down if your cover isn't completely concealing your head. Because if I was standing up, my head would be exposed, which would not do much for me since there's a sniper out there. It would just snipe my head off. However, if you crouch down, oftentimes you can conceal your head and you'll have total cover. Second is that you need to strafe, go to the left, to the right, so that you can't be predictable and the enemies don't zoom in on you and melt you when you peek. So that's tip number 4, take cover. It's a fairly obvious tip, but it's one of the best ways to stay alive in Battlefront 2. There are, however, times when you shouldn't take cover when you're trying to push an objective. Tip number 5 is use the classes strategically. Each class has its own unique playstyle, so you need to use them correctly. Assault is a fairly aggressive class. They have the Vanguard, which is a shotgun. They have an array of close range to mid-range and even somewhat long-range weapons, but they're meant to be fairly aggressive. All their abilities meant to be aggressive, especially the Vanguard. So yeah. The Heavy, basically you're supposed to play the objective and be a tank. They have a higher health pool than all the other classes, and they have lots of explosive abilities for clearing objectives, and some ion abilities for taking out vehicles. So they're great for playing the objective, no matter what it is. Officers, on the other hand, are very supportive, and they buff their teammates and they annoy the enemy so much. Their flash grenade is very annoying, but their turrets are even more so, because they're almost impossible to take out if the officer is near, unless you have an ion grenade. So, as the officer, you need to support your teammates, but if you're on your own, be aggressive. Specialist is the sniper. You can sit at the back of the map and snipe, or you can flank. Both work fairly well, although the flanking, if you get good at it, does work better. And you can also play aggressively with one of their higher rate of fire weapons. However, this takes a while to unlock, so for now, just try and stay in the back lines. Tip number 6, spend your battle points. I find a lot of new players hesitant to spend their battle points on reinforcements, especially because you always want to get a hero if you can. But even if you want to get your hero, but if you don't have much of a chance at getting it because it's towards the end of the match, go grab a reinforcement. Even if you die right away, you'll still take a few enemies with you and it'll be well worth it. You're not going to use your battle points for anything anyway. Tip number 7 is check your settings. A lot of new players will just not look at their settings at all. They'll just leave them for months. This is not good because there's a ton of key settings that could really help your game depending on your playstyle. But the main two I want to talk about is the sensitivity and starfighter response curve. These change how fast you can turn. The soldier sensitivity starts at 25. I've brought it up to 50 at 5% intervals. It's very slowly, every so often I'll change it. Starfighter response curve is the same thing, but for starfighters. And the stick dead zone control is how far you have to move the stick before it does anything. We also have some different button configurations at the bottom here. So go look at the settings, change it to what you want to have, and there's also some different settings menus that have other settings that you can change later. I'm not going to go through those today, but the next tip is practice in arcade and instant action. This is probably the most key thing that new players need to do before going to multiplayer. They need to go to arcade and instant action. You play against bots, which are much easier than the OG players in Galactic Assault and Supremacy. So you've got a much better chance at getting some good experience with some of the reinforcements and heroes. And it's also much easier to get them. So there's many benefits to playing in arcade, and there's a few different modes, so I'm going to go through each of them now. First one is instant action. Instant action is the closest thing you're going to get to large-scale online game modes before you actually do them. Instant action is very similar to Capital Supremacy, except offline with its command posts, but it's against the bots, which are actually a lot harder than in normal arcade, but they're still not too bad if you put it on rookie difficulty. So I would recommend using this as a stepping stone to multiplayer, because if you don't, you've got a good chance at not even knowing what you're doing when you first go to multiplayer, because it gives you lots of good practice on playing the objective, playing against heroes, which is a very key skill when you get to multiplayer, because if you can't learn how to play against heroes, you're gonna die a lot more than you could. Because if you see an Anakin choose life, you might want to run. Either that, or you need to learn how to combat roll to avoid the force abilities. So there's a lot of benefits to playing in arcade and instant action to practice your skills. Now I'm going to go into the normal arcade mode, which has battle scenarios, custom arcade, and the tutorial. You've probably already played the tutorial, but if you haven't, you really need to, because you could be missing out on some features that you didn't even know existed just because you didn't play the tutorial. The menu system in Battlefront will generally lead you to anything you miss, but still, you should probably go check out the tutorial if you haven't already. Also, there's custom arcade, which is the best way to practice with heroes because you can make them free with a setting. You can change all kinds of settings, whether that's the recharge time for your abilities uh, the uh, the battle point costs or battle point gain. So all that can be customized. So both instant action and custom arcade are great ways to get experience with heroes because it's hard to get them in multiplayer game modes. I don't even get them a lot. So go play instant action arcade. It's really fun. And also, there's the battle scenarios, which are challenging even for experienced players on their hardest difficulty. So I recommend go check all that out. But there's a few more perks that arcade gives you. It gives you the chance to check out star cards and weapons that you have not yet unlocked in multiplayer because in arcade and instant action you can use any of the star cards at their epic power levels and any of the weapons with any of the mods. So if you're about to unlock a gun, you want to get some practice with it, go into arcade and practice with it. Or if you want to level up a hero, but you're not exactly sure how their playstyle works, go into arcade, practice them. So this is a really great way to just get tons of experience with heroes and all that. But it's also fun to just put it on rookie difficulty and wreck bots because, I mean, who doesn't like wrecking bots? The bots in instant action though are actually fairly decent, but the arcade ones are not that good. But it's always fun to just do this. Vanguard. Yeah. All right. Moving on. We have two tips for lightsaber wielders. Now they're exclusive to lightsaber wielders. They don't apply to anything else. So let's get into those. First, number 9. Do not saber spam. This is one of the gravest mistakes I see new players making when playing in heroes versus villains, especially in the larger multiplayer modes. It's not bad to spam on troops, but there's a one situation where saber spamming works. 3-on-1, right there, 3-on-1. Go saber spam all you want, and it'll still work. However, otherwise, don't saber spam unless it's on a regular trooper, because even in a 2-on-1, sometimes it doesn't end up so well. So yeah, just don't saber spam, please. It's just a bad mistake. Alright, last tip is pay attention to your stamina. Your stamina you see right above your health bar, and if you run out of stamina, you cannot block or attack until it recharges. So if you run out of stamina, you're basically helpless, so don't get caught without any. Alright guys, that concludes this video. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, please leave a comment below because these take a ton of work to put together. So I'm going to need a lot of support if you want to see more. With that, I'll see you guys on the Battlefront.